How to be lucky at chess. This is GM Talks with a world-class chess swindle by the world champion Magnus Carlsen. Can you be lucky in chess? Yes, you can. But you gotta go for that luck. You gotta give it all you got, and you gotta be, well, lucky. You can look forward to a amazing game that will probably make chess history, even though it was just a Blitz game from the World Championship of Blitz in Ahmaty in Kasakhstan. Carlsen won. He also won the rapid section, and of course he is at the moment, until he gives up his title, the classical world champion. So he is without doubt at the moment the GOAT. But enough about that. Let's see some chess. And well, we have a saying in my family that goes, the better you are, the luckier you are. And it's a little bit about seeing when to be lucky. So here we have d4 by Magnus. He can play e4, he can play d4, he played a lot of b3 in this tournament. And here we go to the French. And it's a Winaver French. And to be quite honest, I don't understand this very well. It's very strange position. White get the bishop pair, some space advantage, but his pawn structure is sort of weird and inflexible, and I don't get it with either color, to be honest. I know that I heard that Peter Leko apparently studied this for 12 days when he was, or 2 weeks when he was 12, to understand it, and it's probably something you need to do. You need to see a lot of games and see, when this happens, then this is good, and when this happens, this is good, and so on. Anyway, this is the typical kind of situation, and Queen c7, I think, is interesting. I think the main line here is Queen g4, which is always going for the poisoned pawn here, but it's probably complicated. Instead, Carlsen plays h4, which is also a modern plan after I think the most common move here is knight e7, and then you go h4. They started to play some weird line with knight c6, and on queen g4 they go g6, and I don't really sure. I think Carlsen played that, and to be honest, I don't think it can be good, but it's probably, it has some hidden tricks and so on. But the black squares just look awful when you play g6. Anyway, h4 is a move that looks like, okay, what are we not? I'm not playing classical chess here. Are this not a normal position? Well, White is getting space on the king side. He's looking to attack these pawns here, especially the one here, and I'll make that red. And he needs space, and also he's opening for the rook here. His king at the moment is relatively safe. It will take some time into the middle game before that will get into any kind of danger. I kind of like the move h4, just getting space on the king side, but of course it's time consuming, but at the moment the position is rather closed. Knight e7, h4, and here I think positionally black should definitely not allow h6, which is a huge problem. To be honest, I don't know really what happened here after something like this, and something like this. Maybe you just give up some pawns here with moves like this. This could be possible. You could also say, okay, I'm just going to play this move and let him take everything. I don't really know, to be honest. h5, h6 makes sense. The thing is, with the move here, then black cannot no longer play the knight here and bolster it with h5. Anyway, this is gonna be an exciting game, so let's go into it faster. Nice natural developing move, b6, getting ready to exchange the good bishop. And we see this is the typical French bishop that is sort of bad due to the pawns here on white. Bishop b5 is a typical way to intercept or interrupt black's development. The idea is to prevent this from coming. And if black has to move the king, well, so be it. Then he's lost the right to cannon. You can also sometimes play a4 and put the bishop here. Bishop d7 is natural, bishop d3. So that was the idea. At least if black goes bishop d7 with the same plan here, then you should not play queen e2 due to c4. But you will say that, okay, I gained a tempo on the line, and I can always take a draw if I want to. Anyway, but c4 is more critical. So black closes the position even more. And white is sitting with these guys here, but he's also sitting with the bishop pair that could be very strong one day. Also, the black knights does not really have natural outposts, which is a little bit annoying. Bishop a4, so black prevents this this move, followed by maybe this move, and you will have a very, very strong black squared bishop that will be annoying for black. White is, at the moment, black is probably able to locate the queen side completely. So white will need to get something going on the king side, usually with some pawns, because there's nothing really to attack. Bishop f4. Also, there are some tactical motives with the bishops if they can get into some sort of, we will see this later in the game, and they can exercise some pressure, and you might be able to sacrifice a knight or do something else to get these bishops going and become very strong. Black will usually be weak on the dark square in this situation. Knight a6, just developing, queen d2, protecting this one and preventing any kind of f6 or f5 or something, castle, and knight h2. I'm not sure I get the move. The idea is to play open. You're gonna need the f-pawn at some point. So you're moving the knight out of the way. There's not much going on, and you probably want to put it here where it both attacks, and that would be as a sacrifice. It defends here, and it helps here. So it's probably very useful on this square e3, but it also looks a little bit clumsy. King b7. The king would like to be able to go one step further than that, actually, to be completely safe, to the a-1 file. Knight f1, queen d7, knight d3, all natural moves. Slow maneuvering here. Black's idea is to to avoid something bad happening on the king side. He sometimes will be able to put the rook here or here and break with f6 or g6. It can be possible. It's sometimes is. Other things are locating the queen side and maybe win this pawn or this pawn. King f1, knight c6. At the moment, there's nothing going on either side. They're maneuvering around. g3, maybe not necessary, but getting the king, and now these two rooks at least. So if something with f6 or g6 comes, you're ready for battle with white. Queen g8, a typical maneuver here. By the way, I think these kind of maneuvers I think Richard Rapport really likes this kind of moves. It has a sort of certain aesthetic feeling to it. Rook a b1, and by the way, this is a blitz game, so we cannot really have bishop f3. There's a X-ray effect on the king. King b8, but that doesn't completely kill the X-ray effect. That's now with the other bishop. Queen e2. Rook c8, and white and black is just and rook b2 and knight b5. That's interesting. So black is slowly getting ready to do something. He can probably never take here due to the open a file, so white could just go back here, but maybe he's sometimes afraid of this move followed by c3 and so on. So it's not so simple to defend that one. Instead, Carlsen decides to really jump in and do, and it's actually quite thematic. Knight takes d5. So white gets probably gets some pieces here for some pawns for the piece, and after here the computer really likes this move. Just so in this position, white has sacrificed a whole rook for just 2 pawns. But look at those bishops. They're gonna do a lot of bad things, and the computer kind of like whites here. I'm afraid I had to check up on what the computer thought about the position, because it's a rather complicated game. I must admit, I'm not sure I could have found any of the lines at all. E6 is a mistake, because after queen f5, black is simply just a piece up. White did not get these guys going, so he need to do something here, and he came up with this move. Otherwise he could just resign. Black would just take the pawn and it will be all over almost immediately. You can of course get the exchange back with bishop d4, but that will just be good for black. The only idea is to attack black's king. So rook b4, the computer like knight takes c3 here. That's probably difficult for a human to see. This also looks pretty good. Queen e7, king here, and queen takes b4, attacking the bishop here. But of course it can just take here, and not only can it take there, it's also very annoying that it will go here, and suddenly white's king is a little bit annoyed. a4 makes sense. It has to go to c7 and take. And the thing is here, can you take back? I'm not sure. You can take back. No, it's probably bad to take back. There will be a check here, and this will come here, and something with queen e8 maybe, or something. So that looks pretty dangerous, to be honest. So he played bishop e4. Also, he does not have to take back. He's an exchange up. Just have to avoid getting into trouble. Bishop f4. A very wild move. Take, and check. By the way, the computer is not certain it likes this check. I think it prefers this move. But for a human, said, okay, the Norwegian, he just blundered a whole rook. I'm just gonna take it. So he took it, which was a mistake. And so at the moment, the world champion is behind with the rook and an exchange. Check and a5. So what's going on here? Well, the threat is very simple. It's check followed by queen d7, and this one is really checkmate, or this one could be also, so if that's not covered, or this place. So, and this rook is of course playing a critical role, and so is the pawn here. So that's a big problem for white. So the white threat is real. This looks very natural. Unfortunately, it's not that good. I think he should have played queen e4 in this situation, or g6 and queen e4. I think he should have played g6 and queen 4. So here I think g6 is probably the best move. It looks crazy, and then queen e4 and start harassing the king in different ways. Play this move, and that actually loses. And that's and by the way to think when you're in this situation with white is you just have to create threats. You have to keep looking for that opportunistic moment where you have some chances. So of course a check here is vital. King a8, and here white can actually win almost study like with this move. An insane move. You're behind with a rook and an exchange, and you just play f3, shutting out the queen's cover here. And if Black probably has to play h d6, but it doesn't help anyway. But you also see a line like this, and black will go queen here. If there's a check here, then it just goes back, and white is ahead on material. So, and after this move and this move, black is busted. There is a check here. There's check here. Oh no, you don't. You take on d5. Sorry. You can make and it's made in next move. So f3 is winning, but he played f8. It's the same idea, different execution, and there's something wrong with it because it's one move slower. And here black looks like he might be in trouble with this move, but unfortunately there is this move. Boom. By the way, I'm sure Carlsen saw this move. This is a typical move you need to see in these kind of situations. It's just must see, but also looks very, very good. White can lose in one move with the queen takes, because then queen e4 is checkmate. So he has to go here, check, and here we easily see there is a problem here with this move, and covering this way. So he has to go to h4. So at this moment, Rapport does have a draw. He can always give a check here and keep giving checks, and white cannot escape. But of course, you're up the whole rook. You don't want to give a check. Okay, there is a threat to the rook, and there's threat to checkmate here. But apart from that, there should be some possibilities here to continue the game. Also, white's king is very bad here on h4. d5, check. If you take that, it's mate next move, so he has to take it en passant. Queen takes here, king g4, h5, check. Again, there are some issues if you go forward. I think in general you would like to go forward. You can of course go here due to this move, and again the queen is lost. But also if you go to d5, then comes queen d3. So something like this is also a problem, and this will fall with check, and the king will probably have to go somewhere where you can win with rook c7 or something. And remember, the pawn endings will probably be winning if you get rid of all the different pawns. The king f3 is necessary in this position here after h5 check. Again, you obviously have a perpetual check, but why not give a check here? And again, you don't really want to go too far away from the f pawn, so something like this, and allowing this move and taking the pawn with check is not really what you want. And then you can probably go back, and it's definitely winning. So try staying close to the pawn, not losing anything. And this is, by the way, very important in positions like this. If you want to be lucky in chess, then you gotta not lose, basically. So here, nothing to do. And of course, black has this move. Queens exchange, h6. But then we look at this position and we realize, it's not so simple. If for instance, black tries to stop the pawn, then white will simply go something like this, and that will not be easy to stop, and it's rather fast actually. So black should not waste any time. b5 immediately, getting going. f5, and we got a race here. And by the way, it's easy to play this with white. You got no other options. And he takes the pawn, c2, g7, and it's a new queen, and again, black is a whole rook up, but unfortunately for him, there's still checkmate luring here. But of course, it's winning. This is winning. After queen g1, check, king h5, check here, and here I think something like here, then probably you could just play something like this move. and is probably winning very easily. I think it should be for sure. So that was a little bit strange to see the way it happened. He played check, and they're probably in time trouble here. And Carlsen, of course, just hangs in there, king. And I think check here. Oops, he can't play check. Sorry. King a6. I think check here wins. Now queen e6 check. c3 is not bad either. Queen f7, staying afloat, threatening mate here and getting out of the pin. Here this wins, I think. Play queen h4 check, king g6, and queen e4, queen g5, and it probably still wins here with queen g2 or something like that. Instead he played this move, and already it's not winning anymore. And that's so insane. But take a look at the position, and you realize that, okay, white does have serious threats here. He does have this threat, and he does have this threat. And here he makes a grueling mistake. He has to keep giving checks, and the problem is there's no way to improve the position. He can't get the king away from these two squares. Oops, sorry. These two squares. Oops. And the problem is that white is keeps threatening to give check here, and he cannot really improve the position enough in one move to get rid of the different kind of problems that he's facing. So instead he played this move. Looks smart. There's a pin. The problem is the pin is there. But the mating threat here is still on b7. So here he just blundered horribly. And a lucky Carlsen, who goes on to become world champion, shows what's all about. Of course, this this is the pin. But the problem is, if you take here, then there's no pin anymore, and it's checkmate. So after this, white is simply a queen up, and is still threatening mate, and black, of course, tries to give some sort of perpetual check, but queen gets out, and luckily this very dominating rook controls this square, and is still threatening different kind of checks here. So after this, and the king can just go back, and here, and it's mate soon, or he will lose, have to exchange the queen. So, well, it is actually made in two moves, no matter what you do. So that was kind of Swindle, and an amazing game, and it's fun to see the world champion in a situation like that. But also, the more you practice, the luckier you get. No way around it. And the thing is, to be lucky, you have to stay in the game. You have to stay in the game, not lose. You're running around with the king, you're behind with the rook, but you got some threats. You have to keep those threats alive, keep fighting, and then you might just save the game. And if you become very lucky, you even win and become world champion, like Carlsen did here. So sometimes there's luck in chess, because objectively speaking, he was lost for almost 20 moves, completely dead lost, like -8. Anyway, this was GM Talks. I hope you enjoyed this session, and it was a fun one to watch. Very difficult. I think these positions with heavy pieces are very difficult to understand and analyze and so on. Anyway, thank you for watching.